Aloha everyone, and welcome to another Tinker's Academy video. I'm your host Kay Elmer, and in this video I'd like to share with you a Brown's gas generator for health product review. Now what I've done is for the last, this whole week, I've basically been scouring the internet trying to find every possible generator out there, HHO/Brown's gas generators that have been specifically designed for health purposes. I did come up with 15 different generators, put together a product comparison matrix, and I thought you'd be interested in it. So let's jump in. First things first, disclaimers. Now, I want to be 100% transparent that I am an affiliate of one of the 15 generators that's on the list here. I'm not trying to hawk it right now or sell it or anything, but I just wanted you to know I am an affiliate of one of them, and that is the H2 Genesys from H2 Biohacker. All right, so I just want to put that out there. The next thing I also want to put out is that this generator review is about off-the-shelf products, okay? Nothing that you would buy and then put together yourself, because my whole concept about dealing with hydrogen and dealing with Brown's gas is safety first. So one of the things I do want to point out for anyone who's interested, because so many people have inquired about, hey, why couldn't I just go buy the parts off of eBay and build my own? Yeah, certainly you could do that, but I want to point out something that's so important about this whole concept. And that's an article, well, not really an article, it's an canned email response from George Wiseman, who's like the grandfather of Brown's gas in the United States. And it's whenever you talk to him about this, he's got this canned thing that he emails you, right? And so I made a copy of it, put it in a PDF and put it on my blog and link below. Everything's linked, links to everything below. And in his 7-page article, he makes a very good point over and over and over again of all the different safety features that really define the difference between a generator, a Brown's gas / HHO generator built for human use versus one that's built for other industrial uses. And there's a huge safety issue. And so I just want to point out there that my mantra is safety first, and I'm more of your buy versus build kind of guy. If something that I'm playing with, tinker, right, it could blow up on me. So I'd rather just buy it and let the engineers figure out what to do for safety. But that's the other disclaimer, is that this is not a build your own, any kind of that kind of generator. This is purely products off the shelf. Now, I also want to point out that I did this product review from a buyer standpoint versus a technical standpoint. Now, I read the web pages and the product brochures and the technical specifications for all 15 of these generators, and there is a ton of technical variants, all right, whether it's the type of metals used, so forth. And so I'm not going to get deep into the weeds on that, because I don't really think that that appeals to the majority of people that watch my videos. But I approach this from a buyer standpoint, like me, who just wants to say, hey, what's out there that I could, that I could acquire and then use to improve my health. So it's purely a buyer's guide generator review. All right. Now, the other thing I do want to point out, which I just said, I want to make it really clear, that all the information I'm put into this video is straight off the website. And so the thing about that is I had to make some guesses for the comparison matrix based on just like looking at the machine, trying to guess, is it wet or dry cell, that sort of thing. So I did make some guesses, and if there's anything that I guessed incorrectly, please let me know, and I'll correct it in the comments going forward. Also, too, that I basically took information that was available, and like when I was trying to figure out like what's the refund policy or the warranty, that sort of thing, I had to dig through people's websites, and if I couldn't find it, I just couldn't find it. And so if I'm wrong there and it's on your website, hey, let me know and I'll update this thing. All right. Otherwise, I just want you to know that I basically approached it as if I was shopping, and so. And how easy is it to find the information I'm looking for when it comes to your generator, right? Because I know the people who make these generators are going to be watching this video. Okay, so let's get into the rest of the details. Those are my disclaimers. All right, first things first, I just want to do a little bit of overview, background, so that we're all going to be on the same page going into this matrix. And the first thing I want to point out, which I did allude to earlier, is that there's a huge difference between an HHO generator built for welding, HHO fuel saver kits that you buy on eBay and slap together, and there's some really good ones, by the way, and and then acrylic polishing HHO generators. And so there's a huge difference between them and then one over here that's actually been built for health. And so that's the huge deal that I mentioned a little bit earlier, but the whole idea here is that there are different generators that are built for different purposes, and the whole thing that I'm doing here in this video are only generators that are built for health, okay, built and designed for health. And that's a huge difference, because I personally would not use any of these other ones ever for my own, like, you know, try to inhale and stuff like that. They're not built for it. They don't have the safety features in it. But the ones for health do, and that's the key difference, right? So now the other thing I want to point out is that there's a little bit of a difference here. And this is probably the deepest I'm going to get into the technical, this in the next slide, is dry versus wet cell. Okay, and so why, and then, you know, and here's the thing, okay, let me explain what it is. A dry cell is where the electrolysis process is not immersed in water, and water is inside of the, you know, of the electrolysis plate. So the water comes in here and it kind of goes through these plates, and then it goes off into the bubbler back here, right? These are just like the ugliest examples, but the only ones I could find. I didn't feel like opening up my generators and doing it that way. Now the other one is called a wet cell, where the entire thing is just dunked into a vat of water, or, you know, a bath of water, and then it's going to be in the water. So it's either going to be outside the water, where the water's inside this you know, electrolysis cells, or the entire electrolysis cells is inside the water. So it's wet versus dry. That's the difference there. Now, why is it important? Well, if it's a wet cell, the thing can run like 24 hours straight without stopping, and doesn't overheat because it's in water, right? This one over here, dry cell, they can overheat, and so they usually can only be run straight, like, you know, like 4 hours, 6 hours, you know, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in buying a generator that you're planning on using overnight, you're probably going to want to lean towards a wet cell. That's why that's important. Okay, and so the next thing I want to point out, and this is a huge deal, maybe this should have been the first slide, is that there is a difference between HHO and Brown's gas. And if you go into my blog on the Brown's gas page, I've actually got links to the Professor Yule Brown. That's just what this is named after, a guy in Australia, a professor who basically wrote the patents and did all the research, and he developed Brown's gas welding you know, generators, right? And so, and what's the difference between HHO and Brown's gas? And this is my opinion, by the way. I have never read anybody, like, you know, get into this like I have, or that I'm about to. But the bottom line is this. If you look on the left side here, this is your traditional hydrogen generator electrolysis, okay? You've got the anode and the cathode. Now you put the metal inside the water, and then you give it some current, okay, and then off of the anode comes oxygen, and off of the cathode comes hydrogen. So you've got hydrogen going out one side, oxygen going out the other, and you've got this PEM membrane, which is called a proton exchange membrane. And what that does is it basically keeps the two separated, so that you get pure oxygen on one side, pure hydrogen. You know, it takes the H2O and breaks it, right, between H2 and then O. And so you're only getting, and then the O's combine and create O2, and then you've got oxygen and hydrogen. And that's what these two do. Now, people are selling hydrogen generators with the, there's two ways you can get a hydrogen generator. You can get a hydrogen generator that just produces H2. There's got a port. You can, you know, hook a cannula up to the hydrogen and inhale the hydrogen or make bubbled water. And then the oxygen just gets pumped out the back, the exhaust. Or the smarter ones are the ones where they've got two ports, where they're giving you the oxygen and they're giving you the hydrogen. And so here's the thing. When you have one of those like that, you can get like a splitter, or a little, you know, I guess a T-split, a T thing. I'm at a loss for words for one of those, but you can get a connector. Okay, let's call it a connector. Put the two together, and then you could be inhaling the hydrogen and the oxygen mixed together, and you could be inhaling it together. And then that's what they would call oxyhydrogen, because you're taking in 66% hydrogen and 33% oxygen mixed together, and you're getting oxyhydrogen, also known as HHO. Okay, there's that side. Now the right side of the diagram here, over here, is way different. This is Yule Brown's patent. Okay, so personally, to me, there is a huge difference between an HHO generator and a hydrogen generator versus an actual, you know, per the patent, per Brown, you know, Professor Brown, what he came up with. And what he did was, it's kind of simple, right? He just built one without a membrane, and he only had one port out. So what does that do? Well, you still have the anode and the cathode. You put current in the water, and of course, you still got oxygen coming off the anode. You still got hydrogen coming off of the cathode. But now, though, and this is theoretical, all right? And there's only like, there's only one person that's really kind of like put forth this theory, and he's done all the studies. And, if you take him at his word, this is what is happening. Well, in between the cathode and the anode, when you've got current going through this, and basically it creates an extra set of bubbles. If it's big enough and wide enough away from each other. And you can, apparently, this is per George Wiseman of Eagle Research. He's the inventor there, owner-operator/inventor. And he's basically stated that, hey, you know what? You will see a third type of gas form in between these two cathode and anodes. That's not hydrogen and not oxygen, but it's a third kind called electrically expanded water, and there'll be bubbles there. And in those bubbles will be what he calls like EXW, electrically expanded water, plus there'll be atoms of oxygen and atoms, just like O1, and atoms of hydrogen, H1, okay? And so you get this third mixture of gases and electrons coming off of out of this configuration, and it all comes out one port together. And so that's Brown's gas. So you can see the difference here. You can either get oxygen and hydrogen created separately, then mixed together while you're breathing it, or you get it all together at one shot, and you're getting not only hydrogen, not only oxygen, but you're also getting electrically expanded water, plus you're getting O1 and H1 atoms all in the gas that's coming out of the generator. That's the difference here. So I kind of wanted to just stipulate that so that everyone, because it makes a difference, because these generators are different. All 15 of them that I found. Next thing I want to point out is that, trying to compare these things, or it's like a little bit like, it's kind of apples to apples, but not, there's a lot of discrepancy in trying to kind of like find that balance of like, okay, how do you compare these two to get as close to apples as you can, because they're so different. And so the thing that I want to point out when it comes to gas output, because generators, it's going to put out a volume of gas, and that volume of gas is important because it's going to map to what you want to use it for. So the thing about volume of gas, and when you're trying to compare generators, is that every single generator by itself has a range, okay? And the ranges will vary based on the output, okay, will vary based on the temperature. Like if the unit starts out cold, it puts out so much, but if it gets warmer, it puts out its maximum. Or current, if you give it low current, it'll go minimal output, and then you give it its maximum current, which is 100% on, if you have one of those that have a meter, and then it's going to put out its maximum output. So what I did to kind of do an apples to apples comparison in the matrix, I'm going to show you in a second, is I went by the maximum. So that would be like it'd be at its peak temperature and peak current. And that's you're going to see those numbers there. But that just kind of gives you an idea that, there's a variance where you could have is really super low, or you could have the machine putting out its maximum, so like a volume knob. Okay, so that really determines what the output is. Now, almost none of them actually told that actually put in their website what the minimum and maximums were. Some did, not all of them. But if they gave me a number, if they put out a number on their website, boom, that's the number I used in the matrix. Okay, now the other thing I want to point out too, when it regards to output, gas output, is that gas output goes down if the water level in the tank goes down, and especially in Brown's gas generators that use electrolytes, right? Either sodium hydroxide or there's this other one that other folks use, and so. If you're using electrolytes and after a while you start to put in more and more and more fresh water, you dilute the amount of electrolyte in the solution, which then decreases the conductivity of the solution, and your output goes down. All right, so those also affect output. So if you ever tried to test these machines or compare them to each other, these are a lot of variables you need to keep in mind. So anyway, I just want to point that out because we're going to do some comparisons. Okay, so here we go. Now these are the machines that I basically, these are the standard machines. I've done a product review in the past. It's been a couple years. This is an update. This time, though, I'm not going to play with my machines. I have these three here on the right personally, and I use them all the time. But these are the four main ones that are made in the United States: the HydroGenie, the H2 Life, the AquaCure, and the H2 Genesys. All right, and then I went scouring the internet and I found other folks that are making Brown's gas generators, HHO generators for health. That's pretty fascinating. So there's companies in Australia and in India, and making all sorts of different models. And then one of the models right here, this company needs to talk to their marketing people. It's like, you're going to try to sell a product. Don't call it the BYT-EU-HO3. Come on, get a marketing guy. But anyway, so this model here, the BYT-EU-HO3, is also the same model that was used in a clinical trial that completed, I believe, a year ago in China for the use of Brown's gas or HHO, I should say. When I say HHO, by the way, I mean the ones that mix the two together versus Brown's gas that generates EXW. But anyway, this machine right here on the far right was actually used in a clinical trial. I just finished clinical trial week on Telegram, and it was a very good trial for COVID, and so it's an actual medical device, class 3 medical device, and it's pretty cool because they're actually using these in hospitals in China now. Okay, so let's get into the matrix. So here we go. This is real exciting, I know, but if you're out there and you're shopping or wondering about getting one, I'm hopefully that, this is kind of going to give you a little bit of education as to what the differences are, what the things you need to worry about. And there's when it comes to features too, every one of them has tons of little features, whether it's timers or, usage meters or frequency thingies. But you know what, bottom line, they're all built for health. And so they've all got the safety features, and let's just leave it at that. And these are the key features that I focused in on that that I thought would be more pertinent for the average person who is looking to buy one of these things. Okay, so one of the first things obviously is price. Price is a real kicker for all of us because we're human beings and we money's not just free. So the thing is, it's interesting is prices since 2019 have gone up quite a bit, a few hundred across the board. And so now you've got the HydroGenie now is running, I think, well, it's not I think, but these are the prices they're running at today. Today is March 12th, 2022. So you've got the prices, and the price ranges right now for a machine that's fairly, these are all kind of comparable. Right here, basically all of these are strong enough, or they put out enough gas for 2 people to connect to them. All right, and that's really what, so let's just use that as a benchmark. So for 2 people to connect to a Brown's gas generator, then basically you've got a price range from $19.97 to $24.99. Again, that's what you've got right now. And these are the 4 that are on that one slide. Let me jump back right here. So these are the 4 right here. And these are Brown's gas generators, okay? And the key here is why. There's no membrane. Okay, now everything left of this line, right of this red line, they all have a membrane. And what does that mean? Well, if they all have a membrane, then what? They're an HHO generator, and you're combining the gases, before you breathe them. Okay, it's the machine's not putting it out. They're putting them out separate. That's what I mean. Okay, so that's the key difference here. That these are HHOs, and these are actual true to the to the patent. True to yield Brown, actual Brown's gas. And so that's the difference here. And I just really want to quickly just state that I think that either way, I think that the combination of getting the benefits of molecular hydrogen, which is extremely well documented, just hundreds and hundreds of studies on how good molecular hydrogen is. You can find that at the Molecular Hydrogen Institute. Tyler LeBaron runs that. Now it's well documented. So there's no question about how incredible molecular hydrogen is for your body. Now, and what is HHO and Brown's gas? Well, it's that good stuff, molecular hydrogen mixed with oxygen. Okay, and you're getting more oxygen than you could get from the air. Okay, so using off of a generator, so you're getting oxygen generated by and combining with hydrogen, and that is, to me, it's basically like a plus, right? You've got the benefits of hydrogen, you've got the benefits of oxygen. Oxygen itself is extremely well documented in terms of being beneficial for your health. And more, getting oxygen that's more than the oxygen you get in your air, and so combining those two together is a positive thing. So I don't think that I don't think that there's a detriment to getting an HHO generator for health over getting a Brown's gas generator for health. That's my personal opinion. However, for those of you that are truly really into the science, or the I guess it's the biohacking aspect of it, going with Brown's gas, you get a little bit more than that. You get this incredibly bizarre thing with the monatomic elements coming out of the EXW, and I think that is something that that does that tip the scale right off the bat. An HHO generator has oxygen, including with with the hydrogen, but a Brown's gas has the oxygen plus it's got EXW, and you're getting even more benefit. And so that's kind of like the difference to me. So that's why I included these HHO generators for health, and in this Brown's gas generator review, because I think that they bring their own benefits on top of molecular hydrogen by itself. So wanted to make that statement, but that's why they're included here. So now that's the difference here, is whether or not it has a membrane. And then basically whether they use an electrolyte or not. And so you can see the hydrogen generators, which are hydrogen generators, HHO generators, they just don't use electrolytes, but all of the ones that create Brown's gas do. Some of them most of them are wet cells. One's dry, and then the rest of the hydrogen out here, HHO generators are dry cell. Okay, and that's the difference there. Now the gas production, as I pointed out, all of them have, are adequate for 2 people at a time, which is really good. And because you want 2 people, or you can bubble water while you're breathing and so forth. And so that's pretty much, they're all kind of on an even level playing field, at or about the size that you would want. The other thing about like these two right here, they have 4 different sizes of this model, and this one has 3 different sizes of that model. So the range is, you kind of like, you just choose how big a one you want. Now the other thing about, I think that's important to buyers, is that does the company provide a money back guarantee, like if like for whatever reason. And so there's a couple of out there that there's nothing on their site about anything about a refund. These guys, they'll only go 14 days. These 2 companies here will go up to 60 days, and then this one will go up to 1 year. So it's kind of important, when you're buying something and you're spending this much money, hey, can you get your money back if you decide that this is not for you, right? So now the warranty is probably the most important thing. These things are heavy maintenance, as you probably, if you've seen my other videos, and so warranty, I think, is one of the critical things about any product that you're buying, is how well does the company stand behind their product. So here on the HydroGenie, they do a 3-year on the generator, 1 year on electrical components. You've got H2 Life is 1 year parts and labor, 60-day refund policy. AquaCure is still out there offering a lifetime. So but the only thing is it your lifetime or a lifetime of Eagle Research? So it's kind of like the old days, right? With like video rentals, right? Remember the video rentals, or the workout at a gym, they give you a lifetime membership and then they close a year later. So whose lifetime is it, right? But it is lifetime, and I'm just joking around about that. Now, so the H2 Genesys does do 2 years parts and labor as a warranty. So some of the warranties now in 2019, a lot of companies were offering lifetime, but you can see where they're starting to just scale back a little bit, but they're still standing up and standing up behind their product, which is still good. These guys, they don't even, there's nothing on the website that says anything about it. This one, same thing. It's just, there's none. This one actually says in their terms they don't warrant nothing. So if you buy from this company, which is called the Brown's Gas Company in India, you buy one of these models, you got 14 days and then there's no warranty. But these other models that the same company sells, you've got either 5,000 hours, 2 years, or 5,000 hours, 2 years on this model. And I just want to point out something too on a price range. When you look at the US models, I mean, the highest it's going to go is about 2,500. And then you look at outside the US, I mean, this is so expensive, you have to inquire. It's always a red flag when they say, when you ask how much is it, and you go, oh, you have to ask about it, as opposed to it's printed on the website. So, but you can see where, you've got these 2 models that come from this one company in Australia, like $5,000, $9,000. These are all converted to US dollars. It's when you look at what you can get, a Brown's gas generator, $2,500 in US, but you go outside the US, you go to Australia, you're paying over to $10,000 to get a HHO generator, not even getting an actual Brown's gas generator. But same thing here. But this is that company, real low price, but no warranty. This one's $10,000. Which is pretty amazing. I mean, it is. Look how much they put out. These guys are all putting out milliliters per minute. These guys are putting out liters. One puts out 1.5 liters per minute. One puts out 3 liters a minute. That's what they're stating. And so, they got a price tag on this puppy, $10,000 essentially. And the other one this was the clinical trial one, they're selling for $24,000. So let me just put that, just kind of to show you which ones. This guy right here, the BYTEUTAO1, that's $10,000. This puppy right here to the right is $24,000. So you can see where, yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, I used to think when I bought my first Brown's gas generator, I got an AquaCure. It was like pucker time, putting out $2,500 on something experimental. But when you look at these numbers now and you compare that to what's outside of the United States, it's like bargain. So that's kind of what that is in terms of price, and then the warranties and stuff like that. Now right here are the companies that are selling them, what countries that they're in. So basically it's just Australia and India at this point, and the United States. A couple of other things I want to add is that there are affinity brands. So if you find basically a Brown's gas generator, there's an H2 Promolife, which is the HydroGenie, but just it's got it's been rebranded for H2 Promolife, and then also too the AquaCure AC50 has been rebranded, and this one actually sells in Europe. It's Osimo is a European company reselling the AquaCure. They're called the Osimo Infinities, and they sell for $27.19 in Europe. And so for those of you guys in the U.S. that may not know this, if you buy something from Europe, there's a 21% tax, and the shipping is incredible. So, so if you're in the U.S., I kind of recommend that you stick with the U.S. companies. But if you're outside the U.S., then, you got some choices. You can either buy from the U.S. companies or buy from Australia or India. So that's it. That's the review. I just kind of wanted to share with you that, these products exist, what the differences are with them, what the prices are, and what I think about it, in case you care what I think. And I hope this has been beneficial to you. Thank you so much for spending some time with me and listening to this. I hope you learned something today, and I hope the information's helpful. Now, if you want to learn more about what I do, I'm the guy that runs the Tinkers Academy. You can type tinkers.academy in your URL browser window, and it'll come right to my blog. Now, I got a full page dedicated to Brown's Gas for Health, and I've been really working hard on it lately and really focusing on providing more of the research that I can find about Brown's gas, specific to Brown's gas, not so much HHO, but specific to Brown's gas. Well, and I guess so HHO, but I'm including all the studies that I could find. I just did a full week of clinical trials that I found, where I was sharing the clinical trial data on Telegram and that sort of thing. So if you're interested in learning more about Brown's gas, I've got articles, books, links to articles, links to studies, links to trials, links to videos about it, and links to testimonies, and you name it. So there's a plethora of information about Brown's gas on my blog at the Tinkers Academy. Thank you again for watching. I do hope that this was helpful for you and interesting. And I just want to say, hey, thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day.